No.
Oh, no, another one. Oh, yeah. That
I
would
called my family doctor.
Yeah. And they would interview you,
Yeah.
but it would only be through pay. Okay.
Mm.
Wow, that's crazy. And sorry, what was your name?
I'm Julia.
Julia. Okay.
Okay.
I'm Courtney.
Hi.
Hi.
What do you do on a daily basis at your job?
At my job. Okay. What do I do? I do lots of different things. So I'm here at Cardinal Newman, but I'm also at elementary schools. So I travel. So depending on the day, wherever I am, depends on what I'm doing there. Generally, I'm meeting with students, meeting with staff, consulting about different issues that the students are facing. So sometimes I have students who are assigned to my caseload, and I'm following up with them and doing sessions with them. So that might be in regards to family problems, it might be in regards to some peer problems that they're having, mental health issues, any type of trouble that they've identified, their parents or the school's identified that they might need some help, like counseling support with, or some referrals out into the community and consultation that way. I get students for that. Also what happens is, so I'm running between meetings a lot. So I'm either meeting with students, meeting with parents, talking to school staff. So my day involves talking to a lot of different people. And that's kind of my big chunk of my day.
So you would say that you have to be able to talk to people a lot.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
important.
and be really open to kind of flying by the seat of your pants sometimes. Because sometimes I'll meet with a student and then a crisis will happen. So I'll have to be dealing with that with the student and following up with parents. And I might have scheduled to see other students that day, but I can't fit them in because this one particular issue has taken up more time. Or for example, today, like I had on my appointment books, I had 5 students to see today. And it's period 5, and I've only been able to see 3 because I had another meeting this morning. So it just happens that way. So we just have to kind of go with the flow and do the best we can in the time that I have, and know that I'll be there the next time I'm there. So it's kind of the way that it works. Yeah.
What qualities do you think you need to have?
To be a social worker,
Yeah.
I think you have to be a good listener. I think you have to be good at multitasking. I think you have to be really good at knowing different programs and resources that are in the community and being able to link students and teachers and their families and whoever it is with those resources. So having a good knowledge of what the community offers in terms of social services, that's really important. I think you have to be willing to kind of take risks on behalf of your your clients. So whoever you're working, you have to be able to advocate for your client as the main concern for you. So for example, when I'm in the school, I'm usually advocating for students. So say there's an issue with one student in a class and one student with other peers or student with their families. A lot of times I'm doing kind of a mediation role in some ways. So you have to be able to do that too. So wearing different hats, that's what attracted me to social work, and I think that is really what it is. You're doing lots of different things every day with people, just trying and help them identify the problems and issues in their life that are related to their social and emotional well-being, and then trying to bring a plan in place and help them to implement that plan. So sometimes that's linking them to resources, and sometimes that is doing one-on-one sessions with them. It just depends on what their goal is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What type of schooling did you receive?
I went to university, so it's university level, and in particular I did my bachelor's of sociology at McMaster, and then I went on and did a bachelor's of social work after that. So social work is a postgraduate diploma or degree, so you do need to have an undergraduate degree first before you can take your BSW, or a lot of my colleagues have their masters. So they did a undergraduate, maybe 4-year diploma or degree in something, like sociology, any type of discipline actually, and then they can apply to do a master's of social work. So they've done that as well. But it was about 5 years of training. It's a 3-year bachelor degree and then 2 years bachelor of social work degree.
What type of people do you deal with?
What type of people? I deal with lots. I deal with all people. I think that's the thing. I deal with people. Mostly the students that I'm dealing with are students who are facing some sort of issue in their life, whether that be with their family. There's a separation and divorce, maybe. There's a recent bereavement. They've lost somebody significant in their life. There's some family function issue where they're fighting a lot with their parents or fighting a lot with siblings. They're having struggles with, mental health issues, so anxiety and depression. They're having struggles with their peers, not getting along well with their peers. They're not doing very well. They're feeling kind of isolated or marginalized in some way, and I'm helping to try and change that for them. So whether that is working on personal goals that they want to set, or whether that's to advocate in a meeting or in a group setting for that person, I'm doing all those type of things. So it's no one specific type of person.
Everyone.
It's really much anybody who's looking for support, and it meets kind of the criteria of their, that they want some help and that there's some sort of need there, then I'm helping them with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've asked you all of these questions.
That's okay.
Why did you choose this career?
Why did I choose social work? I ask myself that a lot. No, I always wanted to help people, and I thought that I was going to be a teacher. That's what my plan was. When I went to university, my plan was to finish university and then go on and do my bachelor degree for teaching. And what ended up happening was I met a social worker along the way. My friend was in the hospital, and I was visiting my friend a lot because she was in the hospital a lot. And this was my first year at university, and I've never heard of a social worker before. I wouldn't even have known what a social worker was. But she introduced me to this woman as her social worker, and she said, she's at the hospital and she's helping me to kind of cope with my illness. And she's helping me to kind of, get out in the community and do different things too. And I thought, that's kind of a cool job. And the way that I thought of it in that mind was that's kind of like a professional friend. Mm-hmm. That's the job that you're doing, right? You're listening, you're talking to them, you're trying to help problem solve. And that's what I had thought in my mind that it was. And so I decided to apply for the social work program, and I got in. And then I just kind of went from there, and I decided to keep with it. What I liked about it too is the flexibility. So right now I work in the school board, but you can also work in the hospital. You can work in a community outreach center. You can work in a women's shelter. You can work in a doctor's office. You can work in a law office. You can work in all different places. So I liked the flexibility, not being stuck in one, profession. I was able to kind of go do different jobs if I wanted to. So I liked that too.
Is there anything that you don't like about your job?
That I don't like about my job? There are days when it's quite hard to hear kind of some of the stories that people tell you and some of the things in their life when my job is, helping to problem solve issues in people's lives and their interpersonal issues. So it's between them and other people in their life, or they're between them and, they're facing things like poverty or abuse or illness or something that is really hard. There's no fix for it. And so I think I feel stuck sometimes in trying to help people because I don't know, there isn't a real answer for some of these issues. They're bigger issues than are just between that person and their life. And I'm listening to that a lot. And so I think if there's a negative to that, sometimes that becomes quite hard to hear the hard things that people are going through every day and some of the students are going through. It really is hard to handle sometimes. So you have to know how to take care of yourself so that I'm able to do this job, right? Because if I'm not able to hear it and listen and cope well with the things that they're telling me, how am I going to help them cope with what they're going through in their life? It's not even my life, it's their life. So that can become quite tricky sometimes. Some of the sad stories are hard to hear sometimes.
If you don't mind me asking, what is the salary?
The salary, it ranges. So it depends on what type of degree you have, and depends on where you're working. So when people are working for like a nonprofit organization, then the salaries are typically lower. So anywhere between like 25,000 to 45,000 a year, depending on what kind of agency you work for. Then there's also people who do like child welfare. So social workers work a lot in child welfare, where you're doing like CAS, Children Aid Child Protection. So that's kind of a mid-level as well. It's like anywhere between $40,000 to $70,000 or $80,000, depending on your level of education, your level of experience. The hospitals and other government type of positions, like in a school board, it usually runs a little bit higher. So anywhere between like 60 and 85,000 is usually the salary. Like I said, it's dependent on your education. When you have a master's degree, it often you can get into jobs that are a little bit higher paying and a little bit more structured in that way. Or if you do private practice, it's also a higher paying because you're paying per hour, right? You'd be paying for the sessions. So people would be coming to you for counseling sessions, and you'd be booking for per session. So that can range anywhere between like $50 to $70 an hour to $150 or $200 an hour, depending on the way that works, right? Mm-hmm. So it is a broad range. It just depends on the job and the role and where you're working. So when you Google like social work salaries, it really depends on where that job is landing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what would you recommend for someone looking into social work?
I would recommend people to do their research in terms of what schools you're looking for and what program you think that you would like to do. Because with social work, there's lots of different scopes. So basically what that means is there's essentially, you can work with just policy, where you're working with trying to change policies that are affecting a broader sense of people, more of the macro level issues, like huge society issues, right, where you can change policy. That would be one stream of education. And then there would be another stream where you're looking at individual family groups, which would be you're looking to do personal counseling, personal work one-on-one with people, right? Mm-hmm. That's more micro level, so that's another type of education. So I would say look for where social workers work and see if you can volunteer in those agencies. So whether that is a shelter or a hospital or wherever it is you're thinking you might like to work as a social worker, I would volunteer and get a good sense of whether you like the job or you see yourself in that job, and then go from there. I think it's just kind of building on what your interest is. So you can tailor your social work education to which stream you're looking for. And there's lots of different schools that have different programs based on those streams. So really kind of doing your research, I would recommend that. I recommend volunteering or trying to shadow in some of the agencies if you're able to, and get a good sense of what they do every day and what that looks like. And I think that would be like my biggest recommendations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. No, thank you for coming. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.